He announces that they're going to put an end to Bang Taeju, who's been bullying Ryuwon, who is shocked to learn of this, apologizes inwardly, and says he didn't want to bother him because he already has a lot of issues of his own. He claims he didn't know about it and only learned about it after finishing his first round. After Ryuwon had gone for a while, he got a call a few hours later requesting him to come to the hospital. It was then that he learned Ryuwon had lost his sight due to the beating he had gotten from Bang Taeju, and that his weakness had prevented him from protecting his own brother. He vows to never let anything disturb him again. Meanwhile, Taeju brutally abuses the children who failed to bring him 200,000 won. He then claims he would use the money to purchase a motorbike. However, one of his lackeys suggests that they can get the money from someone else, and that someone is Ryuwon. Taeju bursts into a smile and confesses that, although he had considered giving him a good beating for New Year's, he is absolutely broke and was unable to deliver the cash, even after being badly battered. He pauses abruptly and sees Ryuwon and his brother are standing at the door, remarking angrily to the brother that he has an annoying expression. He wonders why he became afraid for no reason. When his brother introduces himself as Hyung, he asks Ryuwon if he sent another errand boy because he thought he would be bored, before angrily asking if he tried to tell on him and declaring that he and his brother are both dead today before sending 3 of his goons forward to beat them up. When they get closer to the brothers, one of them remarks that things have improved because Taeyu's errand boy tried to challenge him and asks Ryuwon if his brother is okay, wondering if they should beat him up while comparing their heights. But Hyung is unmoved and gives that one a strong punch to the face. His companion charges in, hoping to strike first, but Hyung slams him aside as well, allowing him to attack twice at once and easily take them both out. With an angry expression on his face, Taeju says he's just a nerd who picked up boxing someplace and chose to use it to attack him. He then moves closer and suggests he may not have understood the significance of weight, to which Hyung responds that he must not have seen the news. Taeju asks what's he talking about and rushes at him after he doesn't get an answer. Hyung, however, easily avoids all of his blows as he gradually wears down and wonders why he can't hit him. Hyung then uses blue flame to power his fists and claims that if he had watched the news, he wouldn't have attacked a player like him before punching him hard. Hyung reels back from the blow before rushing forward to attack again, but Hyung suddenly disappears and punches him on the face again. Taeju spits some blood and angrily tries to land another punch, but Hyung effortlessly keeps beating him up as Taeju inwardly asks if he's targeting his face on purpose and says he just needs to land a blow, but Hyung asks if it hurts and throws him against the wall and slowly steps towards him as Taeju desperately tells not to. He inwardly says that despite the number of aggressions he's done, he's never been able to forget that feeling. He wraps his hand around Taeju's finger and says this is why he shouldn't have messed with his little brother before breaking them and moving towards the other hand whose fingers he breaks as well. Seeing this, all the other guys hurriedly rush out the place in fear, and Ryuwon looks away from the pitiful sight. Hyung confirms that Taeju knows what will happen if he attempts to hurt him again, so Taeju tearfully says he knows and that he won't hurt him again, but Hyung says he'll have to do this properly in case he has a change of heart and grabs his wrist. As they're walking back, Ryuwon hesitantly asks Hyung how he did it, and if he learned martial arts from somewhere, so Hyung remarks that he didn't watch properly and says players can use their powers in real life, and shows him a demonstration by summoning his dagger when Ryuwon asks how it works, saying it can summon earned tasks, as well as Ryuwon watches the dagger appearing from thin air in surprise. He asks if that's how he was able to dodge Taeyu's attack so easily, to which he agrees and says his dexterity stat is 11, confusing Ryuwon, who asks if it's like the stats from games, which Hyung confirms and says a normal human's dexterity stat is 3 and a professional athlete has 10. When Ryuwon asks what happens if he levels up, Hyung says he hasn't reached that point yet, inwardly admitting that he's lying and doesn't want to reveal that he's a regressor because when he did that in his 11th run, Ryuwon got kidnapped by a player, so he doesn't want him to experience that and has to be careful in his fight against other players. They head to a convenience store for breakfast and he withdraws 100,000 won from everything he's saved up so far and buys Ryuwon expensive pork belly, inwardly saying he'll feed him so much meat he'll get tired of it in a few days. As they're eating, Hyung tells Ryuwon to wait a moment and gets himself 20 lottery tickets, seeing which Ryuwon asks why he's spending all his money on the lottery tickets, but he nonchalantly starts choosing the numbers, and when Ryuwon asks why he's choosing the same ones, says that's because these are all the winning numbers. As they're sitting in their room, Ryuwon nervously says they're screwed for wasting 100,000 won on lottery tickets while watching the live stream and should have just bought better food with that money, but Hyun tells him to not bite his nails, and Ryuwon's expression changes as the announces starts declaring the numbers one after another. He takes a look at the receipt and sees that they got all the numbers right before asking Hyun to pinch his cheeks to confirm whether or not this is a dream, and Hyun says this is all real, so he starts celebrating, but is told to keep his voice down or the neighbors will hear them. Seeing this, Hyung remarks that he was also like this the first time and even screamed, remembering when they got in the lottery, but after repeating this process dozens of times, it's become a sort of annual event for him and has to quickly gather a lot of wealth after each regression. Because 900 million people have already died, the world economy becomes shaky, and the trade between players that will become much more active in the future is done through money. Ryuan says he can't believe they got in first place on all 100 of these and asks how much they'll earn from this, to which Hyung says he has no idea and inwardly remarks that it'll probably be a jackpot big enough to shake the world. At the non-Hyuk bank later, Hyung remarks that since he's won first place so many times, he's unable to become nervous here at all. He walks up to the counter and says he's here to receive the lottery prize, to which the receptionist inwardly remarks that he still looks like a student though and asks where he purchased the ticket from, so he gives the name of the store, which surprises the guy who remembers his colleague telling him that 115 tickets had won from that branch, and that the crazier thing is that 100 of those were won by a single person, and had told him to call the president of the bank at once if that person arrives, since they'd be a VIP guest. The guy quickly leaves to get the president, to whom Hyung introduces himself as Ryumin, and gets congratulated before being escorted to a quieter place where the president shows him to a female secretary and leaves. He tells the woman that he'd like to receive the prize, so she checks his tickets to see if they're valid and inwardly remarks that he got them all right, wondering if he can see the future. She tells him that all his tickets are valid and that his prize pool is approximately 22.5 billion won, which after taxes would equate to around 15 billion won. After that, he moved to a new house and created an account for stock trading where he'd invest the money he'll earn from Bitcoin. Later, he tells Ryuwon that they're moving today. Meanwhile, Yaman punches through walls and decides to test his added strength in an actual fight. Yaman knocks on Ryuman's door, wondering where he is and why he isn't even answering his calls. He angrily asks if he'll let him go after he glared at him like that, and says even if he's become a player, once a loser, always a loser. As he's angrily hammering on the door, an old man asks him why he's knocking like that and says he's the landlord, so Yaman puts on a fake pretense and says he's a friend. The landlord pitifully remarks that he got left behind and tells him that the student who lived here recently moved out, hearing which he angrily clenches his fist, saying he left without telling him anything. As Ryuwon and Ryumin enter the large building, he remarks that it's got rotational doors, ID cards, and even a security guard, in awe, saying this place is amazing before they arrive at their new house, and Ryumin says it's 330 square meters, remarking that they need a place this big now that they can afford it, and the more expensive it is, the better the security, since he'll fall under narcolepsy on the 1st of every month, which is the period where players are most vulnerable to natural disasters and assassins sent by others, which is why when the time comes, the player should stay at the safest place possible, since getting killed here means game over in the other world as well. He asks Ryuwon if he likes the place, to which he strongly replies that he does, before hesitantly saying he's just freely enjoying it all, even though Ryumin will get dragged into the other world. But Ryumin tells him to not look so glum, and they head to get food at a Korean place on the 2nd floor after he checks his phone and says he's noticed that he moved, but it doesn't matter since they won't ever meet each other in real life again. A day after moving in, Ryumin wakes up to see Won getting ready and asks if he's going anywhere, so he answers that he bought some rice cakes and is going to get them, and says this didn't happen before, and even though regressing to the past doesn't mean things will go the same way, it's the first time he's going to buy rice cakes. He asks why he bought them, so Won answers that he's going to hand them to their neighbors since they moved in as a show of good manners. To this, Min agrees that it's not a bad idea to introduce themselves to the neighbors, and Won tells him to get some rest while he distributes the cakes, but he answers that he'll go with him to greet them together and tells him to wait while he gets changed. Once they're done distributing the cakes, they visit the last place, which is a really big penthouse, but no one answers the door, so they turn around to leave only to run into the actress Seo Erin.